नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Welcome to The Curious Mind, a podcast that delves into the profound depths of human experience, seeking wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual enlightenment. In today's episode, titled Silent Reflections Unveiling the Depths Within, we have the pleasure of hosting Ma Mukthikananda from Los Angeles. She is the head of Kailasa, Los Angeles, USA. Ma Mukthikananda will undoubtedly bring a wealth of insight and wisdom to our discussion, drawing from her deep understanding of meditation, mindfulness, and the transformative power of silent reflection. Join us as we embark on a journey of introspection and self-discovery, guided by Ma Mukthikananda's insight on this topic. Welcome, Ma Muktika. We're excited to hear from you today, and thank you so much for joining us today. See, I wanted to do something a little different to introduce you to the viewers and listeners of this podcast. Would you mind if I read out a few lines about you from the people you work and engage with on a daily basis? Is that okay?
Sure. I wonder what they're saying about me.
Aren't you curious? Aren't you curious?
Of course.
So, maybe after I read it, you could guess who it is. See if you could. If not, no pressure, no pressure. The first one, Ma Muktika, several relevant phrases, a relentless force for Swamiji's mission, a powerful voice for Sanatana Hindu Dharma, a tenacious steward of Los Angeles Temple, a dharmic force of nature. Any guesses?
Do I name names here?
Well, they've actually given me permission to share who it is.
Ah,
So if you can
okay.
guess, great.
Mahatma?
It's Peter Bloomfield.
Ah.
It's Peter Bloomfield. The next one, there's a list from the next one. Ma Muktika is a very ferocious lead for Kailasa, USA. Ma Muktika is number one. She makes sure everything is done correctly. Ma constantly trains, teaches, and corrects the volunteers on how things should be done. Ma gives us updates about the policies of Kailasa. She has meetings 4 to 5 times a week with volunteers about upcoming festivals to prepare for and what items is needed. She's very hardworking woman that makes sure her team are really well functioning and informed. That is Sri Nithya Nirgunadeva. Very practical notes he's made. Ma Muktika embodies Swamiji's vision for Kailasa, Los Angeles, expressing and living by the four tattvas, in administering the LA temple and Sangha in what made the Sangha what it is today. Her integrity and devotion to Swamiji is inspiring to all of us. I cannot imagine what it must mean to be in her position as a Mahant. We are eternally grateful for everything she stands for and has done. Nityanandam. That is from Kumar Swaminathan. And then one little surprise for you, not from LA, not from LA. Finally, last but not the least, in the short time I've known Ma Muktika, I can say she's definitely someone who is not afraid to be heard and embodies the teachings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the most authentic way possible. Forever ready to find a way to make things happen and always with a powerful cognition to hand. It's an absolute joy to work with her. Any guesses who that is?
Anjali?
Yes, you got that. Indeed.
It was amazing to work with her in during the Ganesh time for Nithyanandapedia. It was amazing.
Yes, wonderful. Now, how was that to hear from the people you work with?
I think what it shows is for me that what I'm trying to share and the space I'm looking to hold as Swamiji's disciple, as the disciple of Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashiva, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, I have been able to speak into the listening of others, which shows more about what Swamiji is teaching and how Swamiji is guiding, more than it has anything to do with me. It simply shows me where my alignment and where the context with which I hold him and his teachings is serving me in the long run. And I think that's what it's showing me. And I'm grateful that people have shared their views and what they felt. And if I'm able to connect them deeper with Swamiji and just be the medium where together actually we are able to connect deeper with him and understand what it means for us and for the world, then we're doing the right thing.
Indeed. Yes. So it reflects back. I thought it'll be a little different than just reading out a bio about yourself, because this one thing is reading it and the other is how people experience you, and that speaks volumes. And it's aligned, So wonderful. We'll delve right into the topic now. Now, as long as I've known you, I know your favorite topic is the Upanishads. So,
Yes.
when we synced up and inner silence was mentioned, I was not surprised. It's like, that's you. That's your favorite. One of the most, I feel, the core of you. The what drives you is that, right? The one of the most important topics. So, in the Upanishads, the concept of inner silence is often used, right? So how do you interpret this teaching and its relevance in the modern world?
When we are in oneness with our inner silence, with the space that we create for ourselves, it brings us so much to a possibility of connecting with the cosmos. It gives us the ability to listen, not just to our own inner space, but also to what is happening outside, whereas we know the outside is a reflection of us and our thoughts. So that inner silence really truly brings us to that space of deep listening. And I think that is one of the first things that I've learned and that I have experienced, which Swamiji has taught, where it felt so amazing to to feel restful, to feel content, to feel settled before you start anything you're going to choose to do. And that's how powerful it feels. And the Upanishads are just fantastic. I mean, they are literally it's a handbook for life, I would say.
Mm.
And in the simplest of ways, the way the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has shared about, translated, and given discourses on the Upanishad, any layperson, even a child, can actually follow what's being shared. And that's the beauty of it. But I truly feel it has a wealth of wisdom and everything that you.
Wonderful. And especially in today's world where there is so much noise happening, it is known that the usual um, time limit for concentration is 8 seconds. Within the first 8 seconds, after the first 8 seconds, if we have not grasped the person's attention, then we've lost their attention. Attention is the most important commodity these days. And everybody is working to get each other's attention on some topic or the other. So the relevance of silence, inner silence in today's world is it's like that it is actually much needed, because outside and inside there's a lot of noise happening, isn't it? Yes. Thank you for that answer. Now, can you share a personal experience where the practice of inner silence has brought about a significant change or even realization in your life?
Absolutely. Um, See, when there's a lot of thoughts per second and thoughts going on in your mind, and you're thinking about certain issues or situations, that you have to deal with, right? Whether it's in my personal life or even at the temple. Um, when, let's say, for example, if um, if I had to get some, tasks accomplished, and there is a conflict, meaning that two people are not seeing things similarly or are not aligning. In those situations, when I've applied this aspect of inner silence, sitting in what I would call Upanishad, right, where you're just feeling the presence of the divine next to you, right by you, and it brings in that space of just settling down. It has helped me see things for where the other person is. For me to reach, whether it is in my family, with my children, or with my husband, or, with my in-laws or anybody, uh, conflicts or issues or differences of opinion have actually been resolved because I gave it some thought. I let myself just sit with it. And
Mhm.
that made a huge difference. In fact, just recently, there was a conversation, and you know how when messages are written, they
Yeah.
carry a certain, what do you call, emotion of its own.
Yes.
That is how the other person perceives it, right?
Yes.
And so we come across a lot of that in the modern world. And so when that happened, and what I had written and what the other person had perceived were different, it took me some time, but I was able to actually articulate myself in a way which reached into the listening of the other. And I started off, instead of trying to defend or share something, I started off with saying, look, what you said was nice. I liked it. But then the way you started it, it sounded different. And it didn't give me the same kind of vibe or the understanding that I'm supposed to have. So just wanted to share this with you. And the other person immediately understood where the context was different or where
Mm.
the cognition was different. And immediately there was a restoring of the space between the two. So things like that happen in simple day-to-day life. And it is so easy to actually apply this, to take time. See, because you take time, because you sit in a moment of silence,
Mm.
does not mean that you're avoiding, but it means you're contemplating
Right.
and bringing in a much more mature and a more balanced way of looking at things. And that is something I have learned over time. The feeling of um, when you actually think you're frustrated or you go through a stressful situation and you apply this, you understand that just because you've taken 10 seconds instead of 2 seconds, you've not lost out anything. You've actually gained
Right.
a lot more in the long run. And
Right.
that's been a very big learning lesson for me.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, your articulation and the way you articulate yourself, and your communication, I feel has been an absolute asset. It's a real strength of yours, and that comes across in any dialogue that we've had. So I can certainly vouch for that. That nurturing the inner silence means you get an opportunity to respond rather than to react. And I think that exactly as you said, you may lose a few minutes or maybe even a few hours, but you have the longevity of that relationship then. You gain years in that relationship because relationships can be broken very quickly when we react, isn't it? So, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
amazing. Actually, I never really put that together before like that. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that and that insight. The next question I have for you is, in what ways can the Upanishadic wisdom be integrated into modern life to foster inner peace, clarity, and spiritual growth, do you think?
So you brought up a point just before you asked the question about how it is important to articulate and you gain more over time rather than what you think you gain or what you might lose in the short run, right? um, what the Upanishads and what the teachings, and especially when it is articulated and taught by an enlightened master, by an avatar like the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, he brings a very deep yet powerful, the right cognition that a person has to internalize, right? It is very important that what you hear comes from a source that is able to give you the right way of internalizing. And when that happens, it helps you really think through life. And, right now, the situation in the outer world is where there is so much of, whether it is hunger and strife and war, there is so much of uncertainty that is going on in the world. It is filled with violence.
Mm.
So when you go through so much of that and you see the anguish that people are going through, right? Your heart really reaches out to them. You're wondering, what can you do to help a world that is in such a situation? That's when you realize the difference between being able to utilize these powerful teachings, the powerful scriptures, versus being ignorant about
Mm.
how to articulate, how to approach a life situation. And I think for that, the Upanishads are very powerful. Whether you bring in the concepts of completion, which is Purnatvam, whether you bring in the concept of unclutching, which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has given, when you bring these deep concepts and you go person by person by person, or community by community, you enrich and you work with them, what will happen is you start engaging with a perception and a way of dialogue rather than violence or being defensive.
Mm.
The moment you go defensive, you're always trying to prove your point, and you are you feel attacked, right?
Mm.
You feel there is a negative connotation to it. But when you go with the right and powerful cognition, you know how to address things with diplomacy, with the right tact, and your way of doing will actually influence the other person to settle down. It's not just your inner space, but the energy you radiate, the space that you bring to the dialogue will enable the other person to feel comfortable and to engage in a dialogue rather than in a defensive cognition. That's
Right.
very powerful.
Right. So even that long ago, when Upanishads were revealed to humanity, they would seem like, okay, they're possibly outdated. They don't apply anymore. But I feel that they're more relevant today than they ever were before. And I didn't even know about, honestly, I didn't know about Upanishads until they were introduced to me by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So I didn't even know about them. Simple things like understanding oneness, and as you said, powerful cognitions. Every single verse of Upanishads is powerful cognitions on actually matters of life. So how to live with others, about death, how to, such a big topic, which affects all of us. Every single human being on planet Earth is affected by the topic of death. And the insights from the Kathopanishad, and how to be like Nachiketa, how to develop ourselves like Nachiketa. I wouldn't have that insight
Yeah.
or even the guidance if it wasn't for the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nityananda Paramashivam.
In
So,
fact, actually, if
yes,
I can share a very small incident
of course, yes.
or an experience I had, that was one of my very first powerful experiences after I've met Swamiji. And this was during the 21-day Inner Awakening program that used to happen in India at Adi Kailash, the ashram. And I had gone there for a 21-day program. I think it was my first one. And there is this process called the death meditation. When you mentioned death in Nachiketa, that's what came up.
Right.
See, you go through the process of letting go and looking at yourself from a third person's point of view, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking at your body, you're looking at things around you, but you are free to go. So when I was in that space and I was looking around, I saw, you know, what I could envision was my body was lying there, and
Mm-hmm.
and all the people, whoever were supposed to be there, were there. And today I don't even remember who was around.
Right.
So it didn't matter. But there were people, and everything. But the one thing that struck me was there was no attachment. There was no feeling of, oh my God, what is happening? How can I be outside my body? Right. And all I did was I just looked the other way and it felt like I was soaring through space. Uh, it felt like all the stars and the planets were just like rushing past me and I was just soaring. And there is this exhilarating feeling.
Wow.
You just feel you're so free. There is nothing in the cosmos that's binding you, right? And you go through that space and you're so ecstatic about it. It's almost like you're seeing yourself so free, so detached, so out of everything and it feels like this is exactly where you want to be. And I'm going, soaring and going and going and going. And then suddenly somewhere I hear this, snap. And it is, Swamiji, asking people to come back, right? He's
Right.
he's calling back. And there is this, feeling in me saying, do I have to?
Oh, right.
So when you go through the process, the death meditation process, when you go through these initiations and experiences, it teaches you that you are not the attached soul or the being that you see yourself as, but you are actually much more than that.
Right. Right. And you get to experience that the depth of that silence. You go
Yes,
beyond words, right?
yes,
Yes,
yes.
one of my favorite experiences is the death experience, and one of the ones that I had it, and it was actually online. It wasn't a. I've had in-person experiences, but online at the World Tour in 2012, and my body went cold. It went completely actually went through the process, and as you said, the attachments, for me, I was able to see where I was attached, so I knew what I had to let go of. For yourself, you saw that you were not attached to anything, but in my case, I saw what I was attached to and what is it that I need to let go of. So yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Now I'll take you to the next question. How do the Upanishads illuminate the path to self realization, do you think? And what key principles you think you shared quite a few. What key principles does the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nityananda Paramashivam, emphasize in this journey of self discovery? Which ones do you think stick out for you?
Oh my God, where do I start? It's, I'll put it this way. It feels like a conveyor belt that moves at the speed that you want to move, right?
Right,
So you're starting, and the starting point is simple listening. You just sit and listen to yourself. You look in and see what is it that you're seeing about yourself. Once you do that, you understand that you've got to move on and you've got to move forward. There is something that you'd like to achieve, or there is a journey to experience.
right,
Then when you go through that, you things come up that seem to be either binding you, things that you realize it is you choosing to feel bound. That is another part. So the Upanishads teaches you, in my perspective, how to experience life, how to understand what your life is all about or what you want to make of it. So you go through the process of, listening, then looking in and seeing where those, your patterns or that things are holding you down, and you get to work on them. You feel complete and you're able to let go of your past. You're able to let go of so much.
mm,
And then this process of where you feel unclutched, where you feel, disconnected and you're able to let go of things.
mm,
So when you go through all this over and over again, you actually get to see a lot more of yourself. It's truly a journey of self discovery. Once you get to this point, or as you're working along, you understand you are capable of and you are much more than what you have thought of yourself. Once you get to those cognitions and those understandings, you realize you're able to take decisions, you're able to go through the experience that comes with those decisions, and you are able to chart your path.
Mm.
And the cherry on the top, if I can say, is to have an incarnation, is to have a guru who is your mentor, your guide, your everything, who is ready. See, Guru and God always have their hands outstretched for you to take.
Right.
And knowing that you have this being that is with you, who will never allow you to just fall off, right?
Right.
And moving along with that, and then seeing where life takes you. And I'm saying seeing where life takes you is because I don't know the end. I am
Right.
still in my journey, right?
Right.
So when I'm in silence, or when I'm, contemplating on the Upanishads, uh, all this is what happens. And it's a great journey. It's an amazing space to be in, and very, very powerful, beautiful experiences to go through in life.
Yes.
And I think this is what people should look forward to, because each person's journey is unique.
Yeah.
So, how the Upanishads speak to them is what they are going to discover for themselves. So, I would
Right.
say this has been my journey, but I will encourage people to embark on their journeys and see what it's all about.
Right. And I actually remember you very clearly when Swamiji was gonna start with the Upanishads in 2015. I remember you clearly being very excited about it. And what I remember from that time is your words of Upanishads is sitting at the feet of the master, sitting at the feet of the guru. And I feel that when you've shared just now, that's what um, what you've brought out, and I feel that that is one of the sitting at the feet of the guru is one of the things emphasized, and of course Advaita, not just Advaita but living Advaita.
Yes.
That's yeah, and oneness is exactly what. Now, do you feel people understand the difference between loneliness and aloneness?
If they did, we would be in such an elevated state all the time. I think for humanity, one of the things to really do is to feel extremely comfortable with oneself. People are so caught up in running to get things done, to achieve things, to, whether it's to make money, or whether to have things, or to, it's a lot of fear driven complexes, right? There's so much of that is happening. So in the process, what happens is people don't understand the difference between what does aloneness mean and what does loneliness mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, aloneness is where you are sitting with yourself and you're perfectly fine with you, your thoughts and your process, your life. You are ready to move along with it and handle whatever comes your way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is the space of aloneness. Loneliness is where you are craving, or you want the attention, or you want something to happen. You feel it's not happening to you. And then you are deciding to feel miserable about it. So then you feel lonely. You feel, oh God, there's nobody with me. Nobody understands me. Nobody's going to come and care for, whether I'm here or not, or things like that. So I think when people sit in silence and they feel extremely comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with just being with themselves, it's actually a privilege, I would say, in today's world to be able to, kind of carve out the time for yourself. Because the moment you do that, you're going to find yourself being such a powerful force to reckon with. Each and
Right.
every being, you're born with a purpose. You're born with, you know, looking to manifest a certain reality, certain thing in life. And that comes when you're absolutely comfortable with yourself.
True.
And for that, you don't need the outside.
Mm.
The outside will happen because your inside is absolutely calm and very powerful. And I
Right.
think that's what I would love for people to, feel confident about, learn, or try to understand. And the Upanishads are phenomenal. They give you that strength.
Right. Absolutely. From when you were sharing, the clarity I was getting is one, loneliness would be a space of powerlessness, and aloneness is the space of powerfulness. It's you can be amongst hundreds and thousands of people and experience aloneness in a powerful way where you experience yourself. And you can be again with hundreds of friends and still feel lonely. It's possible, isn't
Yes.
it? Because of how you are feeling inside you about you, right? Right, we've come to the end of the main questions. Now I have some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready for those?
Oh my God. Okay, let's hit it. Let's hit it. Let's have
We'll
fun.
just play. We'll just play. I'm
I
curious.
just want to share that, this
Just
is what is going to show that, you know, spirituality doesn't mean you sit and you're this, you know, person who's not enjoying everything. You get to enjoy life 1,000 times more. You get to have a lot of fun and you get to live your life.
right. The quality of life improves.
Yes.
100%. 100%. I say I have better quality life now than I did, growing up. Even if I had a lot of money and I had name, or I had, all sorts of things, maybe, best handbags and shoes, I didn't have good quality life. I have
But Ma
much better
Atmadea,
quality life.
You already have the most money in the world, the best time, the best of everything.
Yeah, exactly. The
Yes,
quality of life is completely different now.
yes.
And and like, you could be sitting, I could be sitting somewhere and having a simple cup of tea, a chai, and I am just, I like myself and I like the people around me and I like life, it's just, it works. So, but the rapid fire questions are for you.
Bring it on. Bring it on, Ma Nithya.
Bring them on. Okay. So, what are Upanishads to you?
Silence.
What is your favorite Upanishad and why?
I don't have a favorite. It embodies everything to me.
Wow. Okay. What's one word that best describes the feeling of inner silence for you?
Oneness and the ability to merge into the cosmos. And for me, that's Bhagavan Nityananda,
And that's for you, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nityananda
the
Paramashiva.
Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Absolutely.
Yes. What's a common misconception, do you think, about inner silence that you'd like to dispel?
Inner silence does not mean you're avoiding things. Inner silence means you're contemplating and finding a more powerful way to articulate and handle things.
Wonderful. Thank you. And one last final question. What advice would you give to someone interested in exploring the concept of inner silence for the first time?
Yes. Attend Paramashivoham, take the leap, understand that Paramashivoham is a journey to your experience of discovering yourself, your spiritual journey, with the support and with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, as the co-creator of your reality. Take the leap and see how you manifest your life. You will, you will not regret it. You will actually understand what life is all about.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mamuktika, for being here. Thank you for being part of our journey on the curious mind. I trust you enjoyed yourself. It's a place where we've dived deep into the world of silent reflections and inner discovery with yourself, Mamuktikananda. We hope this episode has left you feeling inspired and ready to explore the transformative magic of inner silence in your own spiritual quest. Keep that curiosity alive, stay open minded, and never stop seeking the wisdom that's awaiting to be uncovered within you. Until we meet again, may your path be bright with self discovery and inner peace. Let's end with the
Thank
Purna Mantra.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Ma Atmadea. And I hope I can get my two cents in. and
Of
to
course.
share. You've been an amazing host, as always. And it's always lovely to come on your show, always lovely to have this conversation with you. And looking forward to coming back again, where you have more questions and more for me. And thank you all for everybody's listening. And I hope whatever we have shared is going to make a difference, is going to help you take the jump that you need to. And we're here to support you. We would love to help in any way we can. So thank you again, and thank you, Ma Nithya.
No, thank you so much for sharing. And it's not 2 cents, it's much more than that. It's very valuable insight and input. Thank you once again to everybody that has been viewing and listening to us. We welcome your feedback. You can leave your comments in the comments box. And we look forward to seeing you again. Let's end with the Purana Mantra from the Upanishads.
Yes, and bringing in a space of oneness with Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who
The,
is pretty much the reason for what we're doing.
yes, indeed. The deepest gratitude to our Guru, the
Yes.
Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nityananda Paramashivam. ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ तत्सत्सर्वं भगवते श्रीनित्यानन्दपरमशिवपादुकार्पणमस्तु ॐ नित्यानन्दम्.
Prepare yourself. Please understand, this is the first, foremost, and final words given to the universe, from the universe, given to humanity, from the cosmos. Listen. This is the first and foremost and final word.